Welcome to the San Antonio FC FanCast. I'm your host, Royce. How are you doing? I'm sure everybody's doing well. Let's go around the horn. I have Rafa with me. Rafa, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Ready. Getting back on the road again tomorrow after this weekend. A little trip to Victoria. So going to barbecue country tomorrow in Lockhart. So,
according to some magazines, San Antonio is the barbecue capital of the world. So let's hold off on that. But Lockhart, Smitty's, Blacks, and Cruz, very good, not bad. And I should have said the face of SAFC according to their Twitter feed and Instagram. Rafa. Anyway. Along with me,
man, he cut me off. I could have been Robert.
I know.
I had an opportunity to be Robert.
It's amazing that Harry is right there and he is center, and then you get Rafa right. Unbelievable. Oh man, Harry just can't catch a break, man. Anyway, speaking of, here's Dr. Harry. Dr. Austin is in the house for all your.
So here's the current mode. Here's the current mode of San Antonio FC right now.
Welcome to my party. We're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring.
But we need to bring it down a little bit like this here. Let's bring it down. This is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to talk about it. Dr. Harry's in, which Dr. Harry's never been in before. So
it sounds like we're going to the stairway to heaven on that one.
I was about to stop him playing the music like Wayne's World. No stairway.
Stairway to heaven.
That's exactly what that started like. But
just need to bring it down. Bring the temperature down.
I'm very impressed. This is a first from Harry, and I think the star on the crest and a championship really has gone a long way in Harry's attitude. Because right now, last year, Harry, 2022, and before, Harry would be freaking out right now and calling everybody out and what's going on and throwing chairs and throwing beers and everything. And now he's on my side. We got to calm down. We're okay. We're going to be okay later this season. And like we've said in previous shows, it is that August and September window that makes or breaks your season for playoffs. And if the team right now is as strong as they have been in the past in those 2 months, we'll be fine. But let's get on with it. We'll show you our evidence. We'll have a nice little catharsis show tonight. Hopefully you get a nice catharsis listen. And we're going to start off with player transactions. The number one transaction is the outgoing transaction, which is very interesting. Eric Hertado was originally signed by San Antonio FC on a 25-day contract. And San Antonio FC has turned that 25-day contract into a nice $10,000 transfer from DC United. So Eric Hertado, MLS veteran, 32-year-old striker, played a couple games for us. Got
2 games, 60 minutes, 59 minutes.
About 60 minutes exactly. Looked okay, but just didn't quite get the system. The system for SAFC, the 9 comes back a lot as a false 9, but also needs to be able to charge and kind of be a holding forward. Hertado just didn't quite get in that rhythm. 60 minutes is not a lot of time in the grand scheme of things for soccer. So good luck in DC, Eric. I'm sure a lot of San Antonio FC fans are going to follow you out there and we'll be watching, we'll be supporting you. But at the same time, a really good bit of business from SAFC to get $10K out of a 25-day contract. Rafa, how do you feel about that Eric Hertado transfer?
We couldn't ask for 25K. I mean, if Wayne Rooney's desperate for a forward, so
qualify as a cup of coffee.
I'd say it's a little bit more than a cup of coffee, but at the same time, I mean, I'm sure you'll find Hertado San Antonio FC jerseys out there. So wouldn't be surprised, or you may see one in the wild. But go ahead, Rafa. You finish your thought.
I mean, like I said, he didn't really have much time to, kind of gel with us, so we don't know what the long term. Maybe he ends up, really, doing a lot of things for us, while especially with Dylan out and so forth. But we don't know. We'll see. Like I said, good luck to him at DC United. I think his goal is try to get back to MLS. And use it. Like I said, it just shows San Antonio is a good stomping ground to get to either MLS or get to Europe. So we do have a good system to developing players or getting you there. So, but like I said, good luck to him. And like I said, I wish a little more than 10K. Maybe we'll see what they use with that 10K. Maybe some better stars on the jersey.
The fact they got $10,000 is amazing to me because he was on a 25-day contract.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. If he was on a year-long contract and they did sign him permanently, then yeah, you would want something a bit more. But it was a 25-day contract that he was already 2 weeks into,
halfway through.
Yeah. So to get $10,000 from that, thank you, DC United, and you take that money and you run, because that's going to definitely go towards operation costs or the wage bill. I'm sure the wage bill is I don't want to
probably covered him being here for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been that could have been it. Hey, we'll give you $10,000 for 25 days. Let's see what you got. That could have been it. You're right. I don't know what it says in the USL CBA, but could have damn well been it. You're right.
So, but to me, for me personally, with some of the discussions on social media, I think it's a little bit harsh that, people are saying he didn't fit into the system. He's had 2 matches where he got 30 minutes each late against Louisville City and against Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, Phoenix.
It's not like he was going, against RGV or, the likes of that. So to me, I would have liked to see what he can do. I understand now why they moved him out, and possibly why on the next one here, the rumor mill for this show, Kai Koreniuk, his 25-day contract ends May 1st, which is tomorrow. When you go to SAFC roster, he is not listed on there. So I don't know if that's a sign, oversight, or what, but he's not listed there. He was on the injury report, which we'll go to a little bit later, but I personally have a hard time seeing him on the roster going forward, unfortunately.
I will say with the Hertado transfer, his chances are a lot higher of sticking with the team, especially when we know the injury history, knock on wood, for SAFC. Coach Cano brings up a really good point that I have thought about a lot. Every time I roll up to Toyota Field, the big flag they have there, high above Morgan's Wonderland, still don't have a star above the crest. So maybe they can get a new flag or just add a big old star onto that one. So it's a very good point. But I think the Eric Hertado transfer really helps out Kai Koreniuk possibly to stick around. As we know, as we know, SAFC will make an announcement 27 days through a 25-day contract that, hey, we signed him permanently. So they have a history of not really being the quickest on the draw for transfer announcements, but let's see.
Here's the difference on that, though. And you can talk about opportunity, not having opportunities compared to Batista and Bailey. They had opportunities. They showed that they can play. Unfortunately, and I think we've seen it with some of the frustrations, and I think we've seen it also with some of the moves that they brought into, which we'll get into next, that Coach Marcin is not happy with the forwards. There's, for whatever reason, and I know we're going to get into it a little bit later, and you listen to Aaron, you listen to Steven, you listen to Chris. There's and we're gonna get into it later. There's frustration on the finishing side whether that's to the forwards or to the midfielders, how the system's working. That I don't know, but to me, I like Kai. I thought he would have been a good addition, but unlike the other two, he has not got an opportunity. So,
I mean, he's gotten more combined time on the field than Eric Hertado, to be fair.
And Hertado's gone.
And Hertado's gone. And the time that Kai Koreniuk has been on the field, he's had 3 shots, 1 on goal, and it was right at the keeper. And he's had 3 really good chances, and he didn't put them away. He had one a little tight angle from Nashville that he basically turned into a cross instead of a finish. He had a pretty good open chance on the box against Phoenix that he put into the street over the bunker. And then he had another one where it was a wide open a header down from Nacho right to his feet, and he had a wide open net, and instead he kicked it right to the goalkeeper. So, and
that's what we're all doing. So that's a system of SAFC right now.
It's par for the course, but at the same time, what Marcina really wants to see is he wants to see these forwards really take the chance. This is your chance. Solidify. Show me what you have. Put the ball in the net, and show me you deserve those minutes. And nobody's really stepping up to do. The only person that I see who's really worked hard, not to say all the guys haven't worked hard, but the guy that I really think has really shown what he has and what he has to offer in that role is Bailone. I think Nacho has been really good. He's challenged the center backs for headers. He's won headers. He's provided quality service for whatever forward he's playing with at that time, which he hasn't had a consistent partner. That's the guy that I think has really shown something. But at the same time, he hasn't been able to put the ball in the net because that hasn't been his job. His job is looking with his back to the goal, looking toward his own goal, taking goal kicks from Jordan, and providing service going one way or the other. And the other forwards that are coming up really haven't done much. Let's go on to the next segment. Next segment we're going to talk about is going to be the
new players
transfer. Yeah, the transfers in. We're done with the transfers out. The possible transfer out. Now let's talk about the new players in. So we have a couple loans from.
We got 3 loans
from MLS. Oh, 3. That's right. One should have been a permanent signing in the off season. So yeah. So let's go through it. We bring in Rida Zouhi from CF Montreal, which they just changed their name. They were the Impact. I didn't realize that. That's
yes.
Sure. Why not? I thought the Montreal Impact was a much cooler name than CF Montreal.
And then don't talk about the badge. The badge is, the badge is a 3-year-old discussion, and they should be rebranding soon. But Zahir, Rafa and I saw some video on him when he was announced here. Then he's a decent defensive midfielder.
Yeah. You two go ahead and talk about Mr. Zouhi there for a little bit.
Go ahead, Rafa. Your scouting report on what we saw.
I saw a lot of good things with Zahir. Young, because he's already played a few games already with Montreal this season.
19,
19, and he really was always at the right place as far as with the where the ball's at. Great defender. Similarities to like Abu and to PC, but like I said, just a lot younger, a little faster, good passing. He's basically like your kind of your Jordi Delan from last year when we brought him in when we had a couple of little injuries there in that area. So he's a good insurance policy to have, especially we don't as far as the nature of PC's injury. It's a good player to have, especially but also with Mo. We're starting to kind of limit his minutes to a bit because I think eventually we're going to need Mo and PC at the crunch time, like you mentioned, Royce, in August, September. So this guy can do a lot of the dirty work during this early part of this part of the season. So I'm glad to have him, and he's gonna be a good, not a goal scorer, but the thing is, hey, he's gonna do a lot of the dirty work in front of the defense.
Next will be the return of a king. I believe this is the one both of you want to take.
Rafa, fire away, man.
I think this is inedible. I think he was going to come back, especially since St. Louis wasn't really. I mean, they're hitting all cylinders, and I thought he'd be an important piece to their puzzle, but I guess they decided, you know what, let's get him some playing time because you never know. They could always call him back, maybe in the playoffs. Hopefully that doesn't happen but it's great to have him back. You know, what can you say? Like ever since we got him last year, he's been a dynamite player. He's an impact player. He attracts attention, which frees up, it freed up a lot, especially like for Santi and Nacho, even Dylan on the plays. And now hopefully this will be the same thing with Pirano. So I'm glad we have him back. And I think fans are going to get a little bit patient with him because, like I said, he hasn't been on the pitch so much. So give him some time. And but once he gets that first go here with SAFC, he's going to start rolling. He's going to get in a rhythm. And you saw the end result, what he did this past year.
Yeah, 100%. It's exciting to have him back. I know everyone's excited. I'm sure he's excited to be back. He looked pretty darn happy and kind of picked up where he left off. Being, he looked like old Sam. Just had that angry look on his face, and was just put his head down and got to work the minute he was here. So love to see that. Rida, I've seen a lot of comparisons to like you said, like a Jordi DeLim or like a young PC. So, and he's 19? He's a young kid.
19. Real young.
Having Sam back is great. And that's definitely going to help with some cover in midfield. Kind of as we've talked, whenever the back line gets healthy, whenever Manley gets back, whenever Tainer gets back, that's going to probably push Maloney either out to a wing or into midfield.
We're going to get to that in a second here.
Right. And obviously we have PC and Abu in the midfield, and PC's injured right now. So that Rida's really going to help cover a position of need right now through injury. Sam is back, which is great. And that's really going to help out with, Coach Marcina's, his dissatisfaction with the current form of forwards, let's say that. So that's definitely going to help that situation out. And along with the forwards, we brought in another forward, Tani Oluwaseyi, from Minnesota United. And I do want to say, as a reminder, as we've seen with Michael Edwards, I don't know if anybody even remembers that Michael Edwards was technically a part of the SAFC team. All of these players can be called back at any time for any reason by their MLS parent club. So keep that in mind, grain of salt. But we do add Tani. Tani, from what I've heard, is fast as crap. So he's basically just a speedster, a speed demon that's going to get forward. He's going to be very much like Komarny. From what I've heard, Komarny really likes to go toward goal. Tani really likes to go toward the inline and cross it back, which I think could really help out to space out the defense, because what we've had lately in this little scoring drought that SAFC has been going through, they want to go super direct. Everybody's going toward the goal. We don't get a lot of crosses in to either Bailone or now we have Adeniran. We haven't seen a lot of just go to the inline and cross it back. We haven't seen a lot of that in this past game in Vegas. We kind of did. We'll go through that in a little bit, but that's something that I haven't seen. We haven't really spread out the defense. We haven't utilized the wings. We keep going directly toward the goal. So all the defense has to do is stack all their players right there in the box, and they can pretty much intercept the ball from there. But Tani, we'll see when he gets a little more acclimated with the team, and I want to see this crossing, because all I've heard from him is speed and crossing ability. So we'll see where that goes. Harry and Rafa, what are your thoughts on I guess on all three of the signings, just as a whole? What does it show you? And do you think they should have looked elsewhere for other signings?
My concern, I understand bringing back Big Sam. I understand that. Tani and Rida, to me, and this might be something when we get to the drawing board here in a second here, is having too much depth possibly a bad thing? Because that's a lot of egos in the locker room when you're bringing in a lot of high caliber players. Along those lines here. I know Man City gets away with it. We're not Man City for it here, but to me, that's my only concern. And I know Coach Marcina likes to see competition, but I'm wondering if having all this talent here where players aren't necessarily comfortable in their roles, if that's part of and we'll talk about it later, but if that's possibly part of it here. So to me, Tani and what's his name?
Rida.
No.
Kai.
Carmarni
Smith.
Yeah, Carmarni.
To me, isn't that the role that Carmarni was supposed to be filling? No,
I don't think so.
Because they're both center forwards according to what the positions that they play.
So there's a couple things about Tani. I think the number one thing is what he provides player wise. Number two, you have to remember he is Canadian. He's a Canadian international. Who else is a Canadian international? Anybody?
Right.
Alan Marcina. Alan Marcina is Canadian as well. So I think that has a little bit to do with it, to be honest with you. In that
and he's raw too. He is raw.
Exactly.
Last year he graduated from St. John's, was drafted by Minnesota United. The reason why he's here is to try to fight and get minutes, because this is a higher level than MLS Next Pro. So we know why he's here. The question is, can he fit? Can he break into the lineups?
And so this is what I want to see. This is the interesting thing. And what I think this really sets up for is a more diverse attack. And I think that's kind of what Marcina and his coaching staff are really want to see what they can do with. That's kind of why I say Kai probably stays, because they're trying to come up with answers, trying to come up with new schemes. Everybody's seen the Marcina project for 2 years, and it's nearly the exact same thing that they've been doing for 2 years. Some people are, like I said, some people understand how to play against it. You stack your back line right there in the box, you're probably going to have some success. So they're trying to change. And a big thing that we're missing, and this is a thing that we'll go over later, what we're really missing. We'll come back to this page. We'll come back to this page after we're done talking about the game results, because I want to talk about, all three of us are going to have a discussion of what do we think is missing and what do we think are the slight changes that Marcina may need to look at to really improve things. And I think with the signings that we've seen, we're on the right track as far as what they want to slightly switch up and what we're missing. And I think the biggest important thing is what we're missing, and that may take care of itself, or we may need to look elsewhere for that. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about the 2 game results, bring that transfer music up a little bit, and we'll be right back. All right, and we're back, and we're going to talk about the game against Nashville first, the U.S. Open Cup match in the third round that we had in Nashville, unfortunately.
You wanted injuries. That's right.
I still think that game. Well, I'll list them off. There you go.
I got them here.
Unfortunately, this game wasn't in town. I think the U.S. Open Cup needs to change a few things. Number one is pay for some decent broadcasts. Good God, that was horrid. And number two, I think the lower level should host, or the lower seed should host. I think that's what it should be. So if it goes up, if it's an MLS team versus MLS team, have the team with the lower seed hosting, or the lower ranking in the MLS standings host. If it's USL Championship against USL League One, let the League One team host. I think that's how it should be throughout the Open Cup. Just to give those teams exposure, give them a little bit of excitement. If you really want to build homegrown soccer, you really want to build local soccer, you want to get butts in the seats, get an MLS team to a League One or a League Two team that's being successful and going through this tournament. That's how you do it. That's pretty simple. You get all those butts and seats in those lower leagues. They get all that money. Hey, guess what? U.S. Soccer has a bunch more money than they would have had in general. So other than you put a League One team in an MLS stadium, not a lot of people are going to be there. Or you put a USL Championship team in an MLS stadium. How many people were at that Nashville game? 2,000, 5,000 maybe? So you put that game
they
in
said 54, 67.
There you go, 5,400. You put that game in San Antonio to sell out. You got 8,000. So I'm going to get off my my soapbox there. That's just one of my things that I thought. But let's go through the injuries. For SAFC before the Nashville game that were reported is Dylan's out with the lower body injury. Tanner's still out with the lower body injury. PC's still out with the lower body injury. And Osokar, unfortunately, still with the personal issue. So those three were, or I guess those four are unavailable, 3 through injury. And the starting lineup was Koreniuk and Bailone kind of as a striker pair, which is interesting to see. The midfield had Kamarni Smith. You had Loera start and Jakori in the 6th spot where you normally see Abu there. Left wing back was Bailey starting. Right wing back was Gomez. And then you had Batista, Garcia, and a surprise start for Roman Holt, and then Farr in the net. Thoughts on this lineup, Rafa? And I'll go to you, Harry, in a little bit. Rafa, thoughts on the lineup?
The surprise was Roman Holt starting.
Yeah.
Going against an MLS caliber team. But, I mean, yeah, you want to test your academy players. But I don't know if this was the right place, right time. But, well, it is what it is. I guess because he's the more senior as far as of the academy players. So they wanted to see a try. But like I said, it's a cup game. They knew they had a game on Saturday, so you were kind of mix it up here. So let's see what some of your bench players can do, like especially on this level of play. I don't think it was gonna be totally different where we're gonna start on this past Saturday. So it's a good mix. And so, like I said, it is what it is as far as with this lineup.
I think there are a couple thoughts to that. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I think there are a couple thoughts on it. Number one, very obviously, Connor Maloney finally gets a break for a little bit in this game. And I think that was the big thing why Roman Holt started there. That's normally the position that Maloney's been starting.
No. So I'm going to push back on you guys. It was a surprise that Holt started.
Okay.
He earned that spot.
Oh, absolutely.
Based on the first round.
I'm not saying he didn't earn it. I'm not saying he didn't earn it, but I think because in that match he played center back. So if you were to say he was in the same position, he would have been center back in between Garcia and Bautista, but he wasn't. He was up kind of on the right in a different position. Right. He was in a different position, and this is what I'm saying. They were trying to give Maloney a rest,
but it wasn't Maloney.
And hold on, that's who.
It's Manley because Manley subbed in for Holt.
No, we didn't. Maloney came in. Maloney came in. Manley came in way later.
Manley came later, but Maloney came in for Holt.
Maloney came in for Holt because that's been his position. And what happened was Holt's normally in that Garcia position where he doesn't do a lot of movement. It's right there. You stay around the box. And when a ball comes in, you clear it. Like it's a very clear thing. That's what he did in the game against Lyon, and that's what he's used to.
Basically, he was
being that center back,
being a sweeper.
He basically had to be kind of a right back, and he wasn't quick enough. He was always out of position, trying to be in that position. He had one slide tackle that he could have got easily a yellow or red on.
Yes.
And luckily he missed. And that's kind of when Marcino was like, okay, like he's out of position. He's not familiar with the position. Let's protect the kid. Let's get him off. Maloney, you got like 20 minutes of rest. We need you, Bubba. So Maloney subbed in for Holt. You're right.
In the 33rd minute. That's right. He came in earlier.
Right. So Manley did get some time in this game. The big issues that we had in this match is Koreniuk came off at half. Koreniuk had a couple shots, should have converted one of them for sure. But Koreniuk comes off, I believe, at the half, and apparently with an upper body injury. And Loera also looked like he may have separated.
Remember, he got laid out right as they blew the whistle.
You're right.
He got laid out.
He got big brother. Well, he got what should have been a yellow card. That's correct. No, he got hit. You're right. He did get hit from behind pretty bad. Speaking of hits from behind, we'll go through that later because there's a theme this week of SAFC players getting run through like they're American football players. Anyway, so Koreniuk came off with an injury. Loera came off with a shoulder injury. And we ended up losing this match. We'll skip the highlight. We'll skip the highlights.
One highlight.
Okay, go ahead. Fire away.
Oh shoot! Hold on 1 second. I had it all queued up. What happened?
This was a winnable game for us. I think we showed some aggressiveness in the beginning, and we saw some good things, and I think Nashville kind of was panicking a bit.
That's right.
On this game.
I agree that this game was definitely winnable for SAFC. If we would have gone, if the script would have gone what we had a lot last year, where we score early first and then we defend, we definitely could have seen this one out for sure. The goal that they scored,
I'm getting it queued up here.
Right, Gomez kind of gets caught asleep, gets caught unaware, kind of a lazy jog back, and instead of passing the ball back to Jordan, tries to keep it. Once again, this is a pattern. We'll see this in the next match. Just a loss of focus, loss of game speed, loss of awareness. Ball gets taken off of him, cross, goal. So, and it was completely unavoidable. Gomez is 100% at fault for it. And it's just a lapse in concentration. It happens. And unfortunately, it happened here. We did have a couple clear chances on goal. Unfortunately, we ran into a very familiar face. The former Austin FC goalkeeper, Panico, is the apparently backup.
No, Austin Bold.
I'm sorry, Austin Bold. Excuse me. You're right. R.I.P. Austin Bold. Their former goalkeeper, who we ran into a lot, and he goalied us a few times where we'd outshoot them a lot. Unfortunately, yeah, freaking Panico. Yeah, that's kind of what happened in that match. We had our chances. We just, as a microcosm of what SAFC is going through right now, we didn't finish, and that's it. If we put our chances away,
here we go. This should be
and their lineup wasn't the strongest, but they did bring Burnberry, and they did bring in a few of their MLS vets in. And when they brought him in, this is pretty much what happened. But right here,
no, it's still not it.
That's not it. Nope.
Right there.
There we go. Yeah, you're good. So here's the Passover. Maloney
lets up right there,
and that's Maloney lets up, and he's wide open out there on the side. Maloney kind of slows down because he's like, "Oh, Shannon's there. Shannon's going to play the ball." Shannon never plays the ball. He slows up too much. Ball gets taken off his foot. Cross into what's his name, Zubas,
and they pulled to San Antonio.
So, yeah, you could.
That's what we do.
You could say that we caught someone unaware and cross goal, very direct, but very simple. Shannon should have done with it. He didn't do anything. He gets run by, as I tweeted, Fafa Picol. Fafa Picol was on the field for Fort Lauderdale Strikers when Marcino won his first league championship with the San Antonio Scorpions in 2014. So interesting little fact there. Amazing that he's still playing 9 years later. So he's had a pretty good little career for himself.
And that video is by BR Sports, YouTube, and Nashville and San Antonio FC. We'll cover everybody for that here.
So that unfortunately,
did it bother you that they lost? Though it didn't bother me. I don't like to lose, but
it was a winnable. It
didn't
game.
Upset me that they lost.
Right. There's three things that I feel about this. It was a winnable game. Yes, it would have put a little bit of added games for sure, which is we are increasing the squad. We would have seen a lot of the newer players. So I think it would have been nice because we could have got a lot of the newer players to get some time in the system, to get some experience in the system. I think it would have helped a little bit. At the same time, if we would have been on the road again, it would have been kind of a butt whipping.
Well, where we would have gone? We would have been going up to Austin. There's no doubt in my mind that the envelopes would have been greased.
Okay, bold statement, Harry Austin.
Dr. Harry is not Dr. Harry on that one, but that's where that's back to conspiracy Harry there. But
I think it would have been nice to win. At the same time, Nashville brought in their MLS vets, and they are one of the better teams in the league in MLS this season. So they kind of did what they'll do. At the same rate, it was really a lapse of concentration that did us in. It was completely unavoidable, and I think it should have at least gone to extra time or PKs. But at the same time, it's good that we avoided that extra 30 minutes of field time for everybody's legs, especially because we had most of our starters out toward the end of that match. And the third thing that I want to talk about, and it's the most unfortunate part, we did have those couple injuries in the match, and that's the number one thing you want to avoid in these kind of extra matches, the cup matches. And we had Loera out, who's a big member of the midfield, and he looked really good in this match until he got shoved over, and it kind of looked like he separated a shoulder, which hopefully it's just a mild one. You pop it back, or he just had a little stinger. Hopefully that's okay. And Koreniuk, like we said, got run into I think it was just a foul called, which maybe should have been a little more than that, but at the same rate, it is what it is.
Here's my thinking of it.
Nashville. Yeah.
If San Antonio FC really wanted to go for it, they would have started their number one lineup.
Yeah.
How they started, because when you're playing an MLS team, you want to get on the board early, especially away.
Yeah.
You get that goal early, and they had opportunities. To all fairness, they had opportunities to get it. They did, just like the last 5 games, they haven't been able to do it. But how Coach Marcinez set up the team, if it was close, he was going to bring in, the starters along those lines. To me, if he really wanted to push it and go for it, you bring those starters in at the beginning of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, what am I going to tell you? That's pretty much how that goes. So we'll be right back. We're going to discuss this past Saturday's match.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not.
All right, and we're back, and we are going to discuss this past Saturday. Well, yesterday. Good Lord, that was last night. Oh my God. It feels like it was a week ago. We're going to discuss last night's game against Vegas. Of course, we have to start out with the typical SAFC tradition, the injury report. A thing we know and hate. Once again, kind of repeating from the Nashville match. Tanner's still out. Dylan's still out. PC's still out. We all know they have lower body injuries. Added to it, as discussed just now in the Nashville match, Loera and Kai Koreniuk both with upper body injuries, and Juan Carlos is still out with a personal issue. So pretty hefty injury report there. We have 6 guys unavailable, so not ideal. But luckily, we have made those signings that we've discussed earlier. Another guy we got on loan that I haven't discussed yet, but Isaiah Parker is obviously on loan from MLS. So I mean, we got Isaiah, we have Zouhi, we have Parker, Zouhi, Adeniran, and Oluwaseyi here on loan. So that's a pretty strong little loan lineup there. Should have Edward.
Zouhi isn't here yet. Because he's coming from Canada, so I think that's the reason why he hasn't appeared on anywheres. I know that he's
got to load up on Poutine first. Yeah,
This lineup's a little bit hard to read with here, but the subs for this one here were Mercado, Manley, Gomez, Hayes, Maloney, Camarney-Smith, and Tani. And so the starting lineup looked like this. Rafa, you want to go over the starting lineup, or Royce, whoever
away,
wants
Rafa.
to take it?
I think it speaks for itself that lineup. We're gonna have Adeniran start, pair him up with Nico. That's like those are our two strongest forwards. Pirano and Hernandez. Like I say, you bring in Hernandez in from you got to see what you have with those two out there. Abu, like I said, your natural leader there for the holding mid. Then you have on the wings, like I said, you got with Parker. You got to give him minutes coming from FC Dallas, and then also then Bailey. What can you say about Bailey? He's been the surprise of the year. He's earned it. I think he's probably the steal of the USL as far as him and Bautista. I think we found two quality players. Kudos to the scouting department there at SAFC, because they're going to pay dividends towards the end. And then, like I said, you have Garcia, and then also Manley there to finish the roundup, the back three, and then you have, like I said, Farr. So good, strong lineup. Like I said, especially now we have two quality forwards going, try to get some goals in and get it going.
So my thoughts on it, and I expressed this to you, I was a little surprised Abu was in there over Hayes. I would have liked to see Hayes in there. But I understand Abu. And my question is, once we get done with this, is how do you fit the puzzle together? Because assuming Tanner comes back healthy, and he mentioned that he's coming back soon, Manley's already coming back, and we know he can play where Maloney does. Where are you putting these pieces? That's the puzzle piece that we need to go over.
Harry, this is a good problem to have. If you're going to have this issue, buddy, you're fine. But we'll go through it.
It's like with the injuries last year, right? Remember we had the injuries last year. I think having that deep bench is going to pay dividends, and then also it's all about matchups, because some players match up better with other teams and so forth. And I think that's what Marcinez I think he learned from last year, is if we're going to put the right people where we can exploit. But even though we're not scoring right now, but defensively and midfield wise, we're deep and we're stacked there, and we're not giving up tons of goals. I don't think we've given up more than 2 goals. So it just shows that, we're stacking up something to that push towards the end. So.
Yeah, I don't think we've given up more than 1 goal this season in any game, have we?
I don't think so.
Can you even think of one? I think it's just been either 1-1 or 1-0 games, one or the other. So, except for the first game, which was 3-1. But yeah, I think that's kind of how that's gone, and I think that's very accurate. That this is going to help with matchups for sure. And if you look at how Colorado played Sacramento, which gave them their first loss of the season, there's a lot of things that
who lost?
A lot of Sacramento
hasn't lost.
They lost to Colorado.
No, they drew FC Tulsa. Colorado beat Charleston.
Oh, Charleston. That's right. You're right. I got that wrong. Mm-hmm. Little wishful thinking there. No, you're right. But still, that's a big draw for Tulsa. Tulsa's not that good. And that's a big result for them. And at the same rate, for Charleston to lose to Colorado, that's an awful result for them. Yeah, that's an awful result for them. They're supposed to be one of the league leaders. But once again, it's the USL Championship least. So least in the East. So we've kind of seen that before. Yes, Louisville beat us, but hey, what are you gonna do about that? But in this match, if we want to go to the highlights, there were a couple highlights. There's a couple interesting moments in this one. We'll start with the PK that starts out. If you're watching live, you get to watch the highlights. If not, you unfortunately get to listen to me talk about them. Toward the beginning of the game, I believe it was, I was there. I can't recite the minute, but maybe it was the 4th minute, 6th minute, somewhere on there. Very close to the beginning of the game. 7th minute. There you go.
First shot is first minute. Minute number 2.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the first shot. But what I wanted to talk about, and it's a thing that we definitely
yes, here, coming up here in a second here.
Right. But the thing
That's
that
the
I
next
wanted,
highlight here.
the thing that I definitely want to talk about was, it's the 4th minute for sure. It's right here. What I want to talk about, pause it real quick. What I definitely wanted to talk about was how I like this lineup for what the potential could have been and what it should have been right here. This is what this lineup is supposed to be. It is supposed to be Hernandez and PC picking a side and wreaking havoc, and that's exactly what they did. They picked that right side or the left side of Vegas, and they completely picked it apart. They were doing
PC or Pirano?
Sorry, Pirano and Hernandez is who I'm trying to talk about. So
yeah,
they were doing, I guess that would be CP, not PC. How about that?
Yes.
But they were doing a lot of 1s and 2s over there, a lot of tricks, a lot of backheel passes to themselves, wreaking havoc, getting crosses in. The only issue is that Nico just hasn't had enough time back with them. And he had another couple of those moves where he took a couple too many touches. The crosses never made their way to Bailone because Vegas has some super tall center backs. So we'll say that their center backs are super tall. So we just didn't have that.
The whole Vegas lineup was tall.
Right. But we had a lot of really good chances that were created by Hernandez and Hernandez and Pirano wreaking havoc there on the right side, including this penalty kick, which we'll get to it, should have been converted. You can go and play the highlights and I'll talk over them. Basically what we had here is Hernandez get pushed from behind. Hernandez takes it, or was that? Oh, I guess it was Nico. It was Nico that gets pushed behind. Full disclosure, I was getting my wife a margarita when this happened, so I barely got to see it over the railing. So, yeah, Nico got fouled. I thought it was Hernandez. Hernandez gets the penalty kick. The first one that he takes here, he's going to shoot to the right, his right, goalie's left. Goalie comes off his line pretty darn early on it. So
great save by Diaz.
He came off his line. He came off his line.
It depends on the rule, and this is so. One rule says that you got to be on the line, and Rafa's video clearly shows that he had a foot off of it, but he still had 1 foot on.
So these are the new rules. These are the new rules.
Right.
The rules that IFAB has implemented are there's no harassment of the player or anything like that. You have to have both feet on the line while the penalty. A lot of it is to try to get the score, the most possible chance to score in this moment. And they really have cut down on a lot of the advantages that the goalkeeper can have. That 1 foot off the line, hey, that's it. That's what needs to happen. Those are the new IFAB rules. So on this one,
he gets a retake.
He gets a retake, and he gets in his own head. He decides to go to the other side, and it's an even worse penalty on the other side because it's in the middle. It's up in the middle. It's a horrible penalty. Horrible. So two really bad penalties from Hernandez. What I will say about this, and the thing that I kept thinking, that's just bad. The thing that I kept thinking is two things. Hernandez needs to follow up his shot. He needs to get used to running up and following up his shot. That's the number one thing you need to do. He kicked it. He stopped. Watch for the rebound, and then you try to go get it. You follow your shot. But anyway, the big thing that I'm going to say is that Hernandez has not had a lot of playing time since he left Michelin. He didn't get a lot of playing time. He played for them I guess in the beginning of the season for their calendar. So that's like August through pretty much the World Cup, and then didn't see any time. So he really hasn't played any games. He hasn't had any game action since pretty much the World Cup. So that's nearly 6 months ago. He hasn't played in a match. So this is his first one. The nerves were there. He played with Pirano really well, but he just hasn't had a lot of game time. So, and I think that rust really showed in this one. Rafa, how'd you feel about those two PK tries?
I think he just overthink those two PKs. But one issue I'm gonna bring up prior to the PK, we see Pirano and him fighting over for the ball. Who's gonna take the kick, which was the same case it was last week. and against Phoenix. I think Marcina needs to address this and select who's going to be the official PK taker. I don't know, last year it was Santi, and then backing him up was Tainer. Since Tainer is out, he's got to tell the players, hey, this is who's going to take it, and that's that. And then this is the backup who's going to take it, and so forth. And that needs, to see that on the field. I think messed up the penalty kick too, because that little friction just kind of got into Martinez's.
It was noticeable to where Maloney had to come back from the back, come up and tell the guys to cut it out. And they had that on the first one, and then after he missed, there was the discussion again. Now, to be fair, and this isn't being given a lot of credit on here, both Pirano and Jorge, did a hug and smiled and, along those lines. But to me, I think part of this feeds into the frustration. Not only that we're seeing it on the field, but we're seeing that which is causing frustration in the stands and on social media as well. They're seeing, against Phoenix, it was Nacho and it was Pirano. I think both of them wanted to score. Obviously, Jorge's looking to get on the board for her, make a first impression. Pirano's also trying to make an impression, but it's not a good look. And to me, that goes to the coaching staff on not having clear orders of who's supposed to be taking the penalty kicks and having it understood by the team.
And this is where I disagree with both of you wholeheartedly. You see this a lot in a lot of teams where the players will be like, I created that penalty, I deserve to take it. I'm surprised that Nico didn't take it. But what I don't think
Nico really wasn't even up there though.
Right. I think that's who should have taken it because he's the veteran, but maybe he doesn't take PKs.
The thing that I will say, Sam doesn't take it. Sam maybe Sam Adeniran should take it since he's the striker.
Honestly, the person I think should have taken it was Fabian, the set piece guy. He should have taken it. But let's go here. Hernandez, brand new to the team. He is a multi-year player. He's on a big contract. He's going to be a star. Whenever he gets some playing time, he gets some repetitions. We'll see what he has. He has a lot in that bag, and already in this game with his interplay with Pirano, they're going to be ridiculous together. But let's go through my thought process on this. It is not the coach's job to tell who is the number one penalty taker. It is among the players, and Ala Marcina is playing this right by letting them figure it out. Let them figure out if they succeed and they stay hot. You go with the hot hand. If they fail and they try and they give that up themselves, hey, that's how that's going to go. You need to figure out who is going to take your PKs later in the season. Right now, they're not as important. Later in the season, they'll be vital. You need to figure out organically who that person's going to be. And as a coaching staff, and this is a big thing, as a coach, you're not going to back up one candidate and then that candidate fails 3 times and everyone's going to look at you as a coach and question everything that you're doing because you couldn't pick the right penalty kick taker. So you let it happen organically. And then whenever the team decides it, this is one of those team things that they need to decide. Whenever they decide it, you back up the team's decision and you go from there. I don't think it's a coaching staff decision at all. I think this is something that needs to work itself out. Yes, it's a difference between, being in first place at the end of the season and possibly being one of the lower seeded teams in the playoffs. But at the same time, this is a thing the team needs to figure out. But like I said, Hernandez has not really had any playing time for 6 months. He'll get it. Those were very rusty penalty kicks. Those were, yes, they're on net, but they're right, perfect height for a goalkeeper to save and not in a corner at all. So it is what it is, but the team needs to figure out who is going to take it. I think Fabian should take them because I've seen him shoot to the right and to the left, and his foot's pretty accurate. Not necessarily from 30 yards, but from 12, I'm pretty confident that guy can pick a freaking side netting if his life depended on it. So that's what I would go with. But the team needs to figure out who's going to take the PKs. Let's continue on with the highlights.
Since we're talking about bad things, well, here's another one.
Yeah, Batista kind of had a quicksand game in the beginning of this one, and then he settled. But this is definitely, you got to get rid of.
Is that on FAR? Is that on FAR?
No, it's on everybody else. That's who it's on. It's not on FAR. FAR did what he could. He blocks the cross away. Number one, it's on Batista. You got to get rid of that.
Jordan tries to get out.
Nobody is on 10 there. 10 is God, I can't think of his name. But 10 for Vegas.
Oh, I got it here. 10 is Justin Ingram.
There you go. No one's on Ingram. And that's the
Preston,
problem.
Toberdaka, I think he's former SAFC
number
player.
8. Yeah, number 8. That's the one who crossed it.
Right. He's the one that got
Preston.
Yeah, he's the one that crossed it. Yeah.
Preston had he played. He was with us, I think, briefly, I believe during the
COVID time. Yeah.
Yeah, during 2020, why we didn't get to see him. But unfortunately, this Batista's got to get rid of it. Just a very lazy, bad play from him, and it
almost looks like a miss hit there, though.
But he's got to get rid of it. He's got to kick it out. Just kick it on the sideline, let them throw it in and get a reset. But he tries to get a little fancy here, and the ball gets taken from him. So it's just it's not good. It's not good on his part at all.
And then Pato shielded Maloney. So
Pato shields Maloney, which is fine. But Fabian's also out of position. Fabian is in no man's land. He's not on anybody. He's just floating there. So everybody's in a bad position here. Farr does what he can because that cross is going in no matter what. He tries to stop it. It's just out of his reach. It goes right to Ingram. Ingram finishes. So that's the problem. Everyone's out of position because they think Lamar's going to take care of it. He doesn't take care of it. Everyone's out of position. The same thing happened in Nashville. Gomez.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks Gomez is going to take care of it, so they're out of position. He loses the ball. Everyone's out of position, and a goal happens. Same thing happened.
This excites me. I know we talked about the negative of Jorge. This one excited me a lot. The service on corners.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. It was impeccable every time. So this is what I mean by this is what I mean. He hasn't had any playing time in 6 months. So give the guy some grace. Give the guy some time. He's going to be incredible. And
AJ, you sent me a text saying number 8's not good. He is good. Just calm down, buddy.
Get out. And my dog's being my dog. But no, everything else in this game from Jorge Hernandez was really good. It's just that missed PK, and that missed PK could have been a quicksand game for him. He could have missed that. He could have just spiraled. He could have got a red card. He could have gotten angry. He didn't. He played really well with Pirano. They set up a lot of chances. We just didn't put many in the back of the net, except for Christian Pirano doing Christian Pirano things. Let's go ahead.
Don't worry, Matt. We had Royce here. He tried your internet. He passed on it in the garage here. So.
No thanks. No thanks. All right. Let's watch this.
I was getting my daughter Nacho because she wouldn't go by herself.
No.
So.
Oh no.
Going for goals.
Unbelievable. I'll be honest. I knew he was going for a goal, and I knew he was going for that near post the whole time because the Vegas goalkeeper was so far over. But I said Pirano's going to kick this into the second row. Like he's going to get a little excited that the goalkeeper's off. I don't think he's going to put this on net, and he put it right where he needed to put it, right on the goalkeeper's gloves, and he pushed it right in the goal. So really nice free kick.
And the other thing, and Rafa can attest to this, the goalkeeper strained his left shoulder, right?
His left shoulder, yeah. But he's using his top hand, which is his right. But if you see him, he was kind of cheating towards a little bit to the right at first. And then he just got, I think, if you saw where Batista's at, I think he was cheating to see, hey, the ball's going to, because Abu was placing all the balls beforehand to inside ties the 6. So he was like reading, you know what? They're probably going to play there in the 6-yard box where Batista's at. So let me cheat a little bit, but Pirano caught him flat-footed there on that shot. So and he really had no chance on stopping that. That was right close to the post.
That's exactly what happened there. He got caught cheating, and yeah, he went right into the post. That's ugly. But afterwards, he was yelling at his boots. He was yelling at his gloves, and yeah, he was that goalkeeper. But
and for the USL highlights, the first half is the only thing that mattered.
Wow. No, SAFC had a lot
there is another discussion here in San Antonio.
A big one.
I don't understand it. We had kind of that discussion because Chris also was kind of having that same discussion, saying that the goal should have counted. I've seen this called pretty much every game where a player goes into the goalie. You got to protect the goalie.
Here's the thing that I question it, and this is what I questioned at the game. Before this, I don't know what minute it was, but the sun was still definitely up, and Jordan Farr was on this far side. So it was definitely in the first half. It was definitely in the first half, but Jordan Farr catches the ball, holds the ball on his chest. He's running around to try to find it. A Vegas player comes in, runs into him, knocks him down, knocks the ball out.
Pato. Yeah.
Goalie, it was Pato. Goalie didn't call anything, or the ref doesn't call anything, just says, yeah, that's fine. And Farr's like, the ball was in my hand. I was holding it. He ran into me. That's why it came out. And the play continued, and Vegas created a chance from that. And the ref was like, oh, whatever, dude. So that's kind of when I was like, oh, we're not okay. Then anything goes on goalies. That's fine. Even little light touches like this one was fine. So that's when I questioned it. Yeah, it's a foul on the goalkeeper. That's fine. At the same time,
I think he ran into his own man.
Well, if you look at the other angle,
sandwiched on this highlight right here, you'll see he got sandwiched.
If you look at if you look at this angle, Adeniran does go into him. Yes, he gets sandwiched by his own player there, but Adeniran hits him from behind. So there is contact with Adeniran, but at the same time, you don't get that called all the time. And the goalie goes straight to the ground, and he tries to get up. No one's holding him down. No one's keeping him from getting up. So he tries.
But he blew the whistle. Like I heard the whistle.
But he blew the whistle. Right.
But we heard it all the way on our side. Yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying is that no one was holding him down from making a play on the ball. But at the same rate, is it a foul?
If that was far, we would want the call if that was
exactly. If that's the call, you would want the call on far. But the precedent was set earlier that may not be called all the time. Any contact with the goalie, this ref wasn't really interested in. But it just turns out any contact on, he gets taken out by his own player there. And I think Adeniran's I think where the ref would have been, it looks like Adeniran runs into him. But on this angle,
well, the highlight before that looks like
that's what I mean. And this is the angle the ref gets, and it looks like Adeniran takes out the goalkeeper. That's what I'm saying. But on that head on from that angle, it definitely looks like he runs into number 4, his own player there. So,
and that's courtesy ESPN Plus, SAFC, USL. That wasn't part of the YouTube package, but it was a pivotal play late in the game that. I've noticed USL's keeping their package to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And
it definitely was. And there's a lot of very creative, interesting calls and no calls from this ref, which we see a lot. So what I will say is there's a consistency of not great refereeing. SAFC has to overcome that. And what am I going to tell you? That's what we have to do. Because this is a pattern, this isn't a one-off thing where you can complain about. We've got to be better than the poor officiating, because it is what it is. It's the level we're at. We're not going to get the best of the best, the brightest of the brightest. So we have to overcome those woes, and we have to beat people without a shadow of a doubt. And that's what we need to do. We need to be the mentality monsters, and we just need to get over this. Now, an interesting thing that did happen, obviously this game ends 1-1 in a draw with Vegas. Not the best result, not the worst result that could have happened, but definitely not the best result. At the end of the match, Vegas really put on guys that were no threat. The only threat they were to is they probably should have had a red card or two in this one, because what this ref really showed was
he lost control.
Well, he would give out this is what the ref consistently did, and I have his name down, and I want to see the next game he officiates into a field if he does the same damn thing, because it was annoying. He would give a deserved yellow card early to a player that would go in hard, and then that player would constantly go in hard, just as hard, and he would refuse to give a second yellow. He would keep that red card in his pocket, even though there were the exact same foul happened over and over again. 99 took 3 or 4 dives. Andrew Carlton hated Andrew Carlton. Took 3 or 4 dives.
Yeah, Andrew, yeah.
So just embarrassing from Vegas, but they got the result and they played the ref how they wanted to play the ref. Like, kudos for knowing who the ref is and that he's just going to keep that red card in his pocket, and it's just a threat. The goalkeeper got a yellow card in the 67th minute, very early, and kept doing the same thing. And the ref blew his whistle twice at him each time he would take a goal kick to nothing, because they knew he wasn't good. The ref wasn't going to do anything about it. So that's a problem whenever the ref stamps down and tries to control the game early and then just loses it late because he's afraid to bring out that other card. So that's one thing I definitely saw from this ref. But at the same time, SAFC needs to overcome the poor officiating and beat teams without a shadow of a doubt. That's what they need to do, period. Rafa, what are your thoughts on this match?
Winnable game. Just like I said, the frustrating part is not be able to finish in the final third. But also there's something, like I know me and Harry discussed, especially like on the set pieces, we just kept on doing the same darn thing as trying to send it across in for a header, knowing that the keeper's arm is hurt. Why not challenge him and take like what Perano did? Why not challenge him for a shot? Like, there were some instances that were on the left side of the field, but Mo's taking the kick. We said, why not let Garcia take the free kick there, shoot it directly at the goal? Let's say, hey, let's challenge him. If he blocks it, hey, we got people in there to tap it back in. I think that's something we need to take more chances on. I think we're looking too much for the perfect space for shot. Once you have a space, take the shot. Even if it doesn't go in, or if it hits a post, someone's going to be there. Like I said, someone's going to be there to tap it in. We got the guys that can tap it in. Now that we have Sam back, he's good enough to get those, get some of those in those rebounds. I think that's going to be a lot better consistency there. The compact play. We need to spread. I think they've already figured this out. We need to play the ball outside. And one of the things that during the game, every time we play the outside, we created chances. But every time we play everything in the inside, there was really no space to maneuver. There's narrow. One play we're too narrow. If there's no space on one side, hey, let's swing it around, take it to the other side, or flip or switch it on them. There's times that we had Gomez send it to him 1v1. He beats his guy. Now he's got a shot for a goal or for a cross. Same thing with Bailey. So I think the formation wise, if we want to get goals, I think we need to switch to a 3-4-3. Let's get to that way we can have some people outside, but also our inside players can get some space, because we can pull that defense out and then play that, like you mentioned, we're going to bring guys that are going to cross the back in, but we also can play the ball back up to the 18 and create some space for shots. So I think the 3-5-2 is more of a defensive look, but I think the people that we have now and who were brought in, now we're equipped to play a 3-4-3 which we did last year. And every time we play that formation, we put in some goals. And I think this is a time to go back and switch to that formation.
What's very interesting about that is that I did notice a little wrinkle in the formation in this match. And what I did notice, and this is Marcina trying to get Maloney more involved, a huge thing that SAFC is missing, and we'll go back to the segment that we were talking about, we kind of teased earlier. The biggest thing, there are 3 things that this team is missing very, very much right now. The number 1 thing is Mitch Taintor. The number 2 thing is PC. The number 3 thing is Justin Dillon. And the number 4 thing is Maloney in his normal outside spot. Those are the things that we're missing. And Marcina and his coaching staff gave a little wrinkle early in this match when SAFC was dominating possession, dominating in chances. What happened was that you had Maloney push up. You had Zico move back. You had Gomez move back. So you had pretty much a four in the back. You had four in the midfield. You had Maloney as a winger, and you had Hernandez kind of come out to the left a little bit, and you had Abu and Christian in the middle. And so you had a 4-4-2, and you had Nico and Sam up front. So for in possession during certain points in the match against Vegas, you had a 4-4-2 that they tried out to try to get Maloney a little forward, to get him to kind of take some initiative and get him in the attack, because that's a big thing we're missing. Those late runs, kind of Maloney kind of getting in the Weston McKennie role almost, where he has the late runs in. He provides some depth around the attack. He is a very important piece to the attack, and him being on the back line at a necessity is kind of killing the attack. So a big thing that I'm really encouraged by seeing is Manley off the injured list. Manley he got some game time against Nashville. He didn't make it in this game. It was his birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Carter Manley. Shout out. But I'm excited to have him back so we can have Manley, Fabian, and Batista in the back line until Mitch gets healthy, and we can at least get Connor in his normal spot, and he can help out with the attack, because his hard-nosed defending is one thing, but his hard-nosed attack is a whole other thing, and he can come back and defend when he wants, but his big thing is when he presses up on that left side and provides some width. And that's a huge thing we're missing in a lot of points. A big thing that Vegas did was they stacked their back four just in the box. They had almost no width out wide, and that's why Pirano and Hernandez had so much joy on that right side while they were interplaying. They had a lot of room out there because Vegas really stacked the box, because we like to be so direct without Maloney providing some width on that side. So hopefully that'll change here coming up, and hopefully we get healthy. That's the big thing that we're missing, is some help. We'll be right back, and we'll kind of chat through, and we'll have a visit from the doctor. All right, and we're back, and I'm going to give control over to Dr. Harry. Doctor.
Harry's on
mute. I want to give credit to, it relays that here. Give credit to @sporting_Texas Guru. I said, stay calm amongst the store. SAFC have the strongest side we've possibly ever had, but it takes at least a month for that many new players to reach a cohesive understanding tactically. But then he brought up this, and it's a XG 9 here. So right now our XG is 1.88. Our XG allowed is 1.19. So there's a XG difference of 0.69. Our goals for is 1.53. Our goals allowed is 0.75. But the expected goal and what we're actually getting is down 3/4 of a goal, which is what we've talked about. And that's why, to me, teams go through these cycles of, where they just can't score. It happens with every team. Even the great teams like Man City, Rafa's Real Madrid, along those lines. There's just sections of the seasons, for whatever reason, they're not. And that's why, to me, I was hoping for the first Vegas match for them to kind of open up the scoring, but with multiple goals. Obviously that didn't happen. We got to hope for when we go to Vegas, and that's why I'm hoping for this 3-game road trip. We go to Vegas, who plays on Friday night, and then turns around and plays us on Sunday night, so we'll have to talk about when we do our show next week, because maybe during the game, so we'll have to discuss that. Following week, we travel to Charleston, and then the May 21st, the final match, we go to Detroit City, which I'll be going there. So that's 17 days away for that here. So, or that's when I'm leaving in 17 days, I guess I should say. So to me, and like I said here, the reason why I said the doctor's in, we've got to figure out with all these pieces that we have, and then I'm going to ask you this question here, Royce. With all these additions, what does that mean for Juan Carlos Osakar? I myself kind of wonder if he's, and we don't know what the personal issues are. I myself wonder if we actually see him anytime soon, just by them bringing in all these additions. And to me, like I said here, how do you fit the pieces into a puzzle here?
So, I mean, we'll see with the future going ahead. I think, like I said, Asokar's and his family are going through something that's much bigger than soccer.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm going to give him the grace. I'm going to give him the time to figure out and sort out what's going on. And I'm not even, he's a part of the team. Yes. I'm not going to discuss him in the future at all. We'll figure it out. They'll figure it out as it goes. But right now is not the time to talk about Asokar. We're going to continue with the squad that's available. And then we'll see
off the board.
Exactly. We'll see what happens in the future, but let's move him off the board for now. Him coming back this season, I think will be a bonus. I think that would be a great thing. But right now, let's leave him off the board for now until we get a more clear picture of his return. But this will be the interesting thing. The thing that we're lacking right now is kind of the midfield steel and kind of a more stable back line that will help out in the attack. I think that's the thing we're kind of missing right now. So, and like I've said earlier, Maloney not being on that left side as that left wing back or that right wing back, wherever he's going to play, I think that hurts a lot. And I think hopefully whenever Manley gets healthy, whenever Tanner gets healthy, that's where he'll be, and he'll provide width and he'll provide a lot of pressing cover out there at the same rate as of right now.
So who are you taking off then? If you're putting Manley where Bailey is, right?
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me get there. On the other side, I think right now as a starter, you have Zico Bailey there on the right. So as a right wing back, you're going to have Bailey. As a left wing back, you're going to have Maloney. So there you go. And then where Batista's at right now, I think he's going to be there.
Batista stays there. Tanner moved over.
I think Tanner's going to be on the right. Yeah, I think that's how that's going to set up. Garcia in the middle. I think that's how that's going to set up. That's exactly it. And then later in the match, when you want to shut some stuff down, I think you're going to have probably Maloney either stays, maybe Gomez comes on to provide some width. And then on the other side, you'll probably see kind of more shutdown. You have Manley there on the right. And depending on the matchup, we talked about matchups. If you want to have a more defensive side and you're going to face a more attacking side, like say a Loyal or possibly like a Tampa Bay Rowdies, you're going to want Manley there on the right and probably Maloney there on the left to provide some width and some steel. And possibly you want to have Zico Bailey out there for some attack. So we have that set. That's kind of the back five. In the middle, if things were perfect, you'd have PC and Abu there. You definitely have Abu.
Who are you? Well, hold on here. Who are you taking up, Pirano or Jorge?
So I think you have Abu there, and Jacori is kind of the backup for Abu as of right now. I think that's what's happened.
Right, but you said PC and Abu.
In a perfect world, if it was last season, that's who you'd have. You'd have those two, and then going forward. Right now, what's going on is we're kind of doing the same experiment that we had in 2021, where we had, and this was always the question we had on the show for Marcina is how do you juggle Gallegos, Pirano, PC, and Abu? How do you juggle those four for three positions? And it's the same thing we had. And in the playoffs, we definitely try to have the two attacking ones. I think we have a lot better pieces, a lot more quality pieces this time to help out with that. So I think you have 1-6. You have a single pivot as of right now. So you have Abu or Jacori there. And then, I think you have Pirano and you have Jorge helping out. It's either It's either going to be Abu, and it depends on what his legs will let him do, or you have Ja'Cory back there in the 6.
Here's the wild card, though.
Or you can have
Zouhi.
You can have Rika there, exactly, and he can develop in that position for sure. And that's what I mean is that it depends on the matchup, and it depends on the game that you want to go with. So I think it's more of, hey, this is a formation. You just get to fill out the pieces that you want to fill out. And I think kind of going forward, this is what you're showing is that you're going to have a 6. And then in front of that 6, you'll have Pirano, you have Jorge, you could have Loera when he's healthy. Those are the guys you could have. You have Kamarni when you need some speed to change out in there, which we saw in this match. And then ahead of those 3, you're going to have the 2 forwards, and we'll see who works well together in the forward, especially combining with Pirano and Hernandez. You could have Big Sam and Nacho like we had in this match. Ja'Cory came on later. We'll see what Dylan does in pressing, and that's going to be a big thing. Once we get that first goal, once we get that attack, once we may get a second goal, we'll see what squad gets put out there to try to see the game out, because it's not going to be the same guys out there that we see after we get the first goal, after we get the second goal. It's not going to be the same guys. It's going to be different. Our game goals are going to change. We're going to want to see the game off, so we're going to want some speed to kill the game. We're going to want a hold up to kill the game. So it's going to be there's a lot of pieces there, and there's a lot of different looks that you can give. And I'm interested to see kind of how things come together. But this is kind of what we're going through is we have a lot of new pieces. We have basically a new team, and especially with Taintor, Dylan, and PC out, kind of the three musketeers. Well, I guess the let's call them the 4 horsemen along with Maloney. You have only one of the 4 horsemen on the field at a time. So that doesn't really help anybody out that much. And we need to build some chemistry right now while those guys are gone. So when they come back in, they can seamlessly go in and we can, continue on there. Rafa, how do you feel about the positions, and what do you think?
I already know you want a 3-4-3.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me,
well,
for the
4-3-3.
Well, for the Vegas come up game against Vegas, I think we need to stretch them out. So the back 3, like I said, like I said, Garcia, Bautista. I plug in Manley already. He needs to get minutes, or he needs to get it going. So I play Manley there. Ja'Cory as the holding mid, and then up top it would be like a head of him would be Hernandez. And then on the left side, I had Maloney on the wing. And Manley, Maloney. Maloney on the wing. And then, what's his name? Bailey on the right. And then Pirano on the right forward. Sam in the middle and Baloney on the left.
Oh, so you don't have Nico in there?
I think, Sam and Boley may have more of the chemistry right now since they've already played together. So they may know a little bit more. You can save Nico to come in the second half, because one thing we're not doing, we did last year a lot. We're not pressing. We need to start pressing teams. When we did, like you mentioned, Royce, about stealing the ball and converting those in goals, we're not doing that. And why we got away from that, I have no clue. We have the pieces to do that. And if someone gets tired, guess what? We have the next man up. We got plenty of depth to add, to keep pressing teams. And that's the one thing. The difference is we're not making teams uncomfortable. But that lineup, you press. Because imagine
a diamond shape, kind of.
It'll be a diamond shape there. So let's say Pirano presses and he steals the ball. Guess what? We have on a 1v1 pretty much 67% of the times. Either he's going to score or he's going to lead to an assist for a score. So I think that's what we need to see on Saturday. I want to see that on Saturday. Press them, because I think Vegas' defense is very suspect. I think we press them, make them uncomfortable, even though they have the height. But at times I saw that they're not very comfortable. And then also their goalkeeping, I don't think he has really good leadership to handle the back. So if we do that on Sunday, we can really pour it on and get some goals and get this offense rolling.
The only change that I want to make to Rafa's lineup in my perfect world, I think Bailona comes in on the second half, and I think you have Nico there.
Nico, okay.
Yeah, I think you have Nico with Adeniran. You let them build a little bit of chemistry. They look good in this match. They need some time to figure out where each other are going to be. And I think those are your two best forwards right now. Pirano goes back in the midfield. I think you have that typical midfield, 5, whatever you call it, 3-5-2. And I think you have Pirano with Jorge, and they play off each other. And then I do want to see Maloney there in that left back position 100%. I think he's a lot more comfortable out there. He's a lot more effective out there. But right now he's a jack of all trades. He can play everywhere, and he's just helping out.
I think we lost his internet.
I didn't lose my internet. I just have a pitch invader. I had my kid ask me a question. So, but I think that's what needs to happen. Maloney being up there on the left, he's a lot more effective, a lot more comfortable. And if Manley is healthy enough and he does get the medical clearance to see at least 60 minutes, at least 70 minutes to where we don't need to sub in for him, I think that's what we need to roll with. But hopefully Tainer's healthy. Going forward, hopefully we see PC back soon, and it's good to see Manley ready, and also Dylan. Dylan's another big piece, a big pressing piece that we're missing, obviously, and it would be really nice to see him back on the field as well. Harry, what would you like to see?
I just want to see goals, and Jose, I have not.
Harry would like to see a win. Big surprise.
I have not hit it here. To me, it's getting Tainer and Manley back in, putting Maloney in there. For me, the big change, I want Hayes in there as opposed to Abu, just because I think offensively he brings a little bit more firepower to it. But the up top, you got to have Nico, you got to have Sam, you got to have Jorge, you got to have Pirano in there. Where you put them in, because they all interchange anyways on the pitch. To me, but and I do kind of. Here's my pushback to Rafa on the Vegas height. When we look at our crosses for here, we were 3 for 23. Now they were 1 for 13. I don't think we were successful. I think if you have Jorge and Christian control the ball a little bit more, attack it more on the ground than trying to go over the top. To me, we just kept repeating it over, and I know that's the Marcina system. But sometimes against a tall team like Vegas, I wonder if going on the ground would have been better off, kind of going around, and especially with Pirano and Hernandez. Hansen, I think, can do it, and obviously Sam can be that poacher in the middle in this lineup. The goals are going to come. It's just a matter of when, and when they come, they're gonna come, and that's why for me, this road trip. Excuse me. This road comes at a perfect time, because to me, it's almost like the Spurs rodeo road trip, to kind of bring it into the Spurs. They're going to get 3 games where they can go out. They're not going to have the fans. They're, they're not going to have that pressure being at home. To me, it's 3 winnable games. Charleston's probably a little bit tougher, but Vegas should be a winnable game. Detroit City, they can't score, and they're giving up goals, and even with the great Nate Steinwasser. To me, this road trip, I hope that they come back in the goal scoring drought's over, because this team you can see it, you can feel it. And I think that's the frustration is, and I saw this, online is, is it with Marcina? The frustration is you can see the ideas, you can see that they're working. It just for whatever reason,
hasn't clicked yet.
Yeah, it hasn't clicked. It's like some of the attempts some of the attempts by Hansen, where it's just a slight off touch, or he took one dribble too much. It's little things that are costing them the wins, but what they're not costing is losses. And I know we've had 3 straight draws at home. I believe early in the season last year, we went through kind of a stage like this where things weren't working as well as they should. But if you watch the games, the potential's there. It's just, you got to let the paint dry. To me, that's what it is, Marcina's working his magic. You taste the soup, maybe needs a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit, for it here, but it's gonna come. The only concern is you can't let Sacramento get too much further ahead, because Sacramento isn't going to lose a lot of games either this year. And if Rafa and Chris and I discussed this last week at the game, being at home for the playoffs matters, because you get that home field, you get that 8,000 going through. We saw what happened 2 years ago against Orange County. I think we were the better team. I think if that's in San Antonio, we get the W. On the road, it's a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I think those are good points. I do like that. You got to let the paint dry, and absolutely, I think, like I said, I think that's the biggest thing is you gotta let this chemistry build. On paper, this roster is the best roster SAFC's ever had. Period.
Jose nailed it.
Yep. Wow, that's unfortunate. That is a hell of a metaphor there. Said the offense hasn't glued yet, just like the star and the USL patch on the red jerseys. Ouch. 100% though. That's kind of what's happening is, like I said, this team, this roster that we have, the players that we have, it's the highest quality roster that we've had in the history of SAFC. We just got to let them figure out. We got to let them, and this is a thing that I've been preaching since I started joining this podcast is and whenever Harry would hit the panic button every March, every April, oh no, it was the same thing for me. It was, you got to let the chemistry build. And especially in the past, it was a bunch of new players. You got to let the new players gel. Yes, we have a good core of players that will give off the ideals of the team, but at the same rate, a big part of that core is injured right now. So it's kind of like we have a new team and they got to figure it out for themselves. So that's what we have going on right now. We'll be fine. This team will be fine, and this team is going to do big things. And like you said, the goals are going to come. And when they come, it's going to be in gobs. It's going to be a 3-0, a 3-1. It's going to hit. When they hit, they'll hit. But right now, they've got to figure it out first, and they've got to build that chemistry. So that's kind of where we're at. And hopefully we figure it out soon. Hopefully we go to Vegas and we completely mash them and we don't look back from this ever. At the same rate, us getting draws instead of a whole bunch of losses in a row, that's going to be huge toward the end of the season. It's not like we're losing, we're drawing, but this thing is going to turn around soon.
The injury bug's going to hit the other team soon. It's better for us to get it early. Then I know Sacramento's and the other ones are going to get injuries later down the road. And you'll watch and see what happened last year.
100%. And we'll be right back, and we're going to talk about who we think our mentality monsters of the match are. And we're back to talk about our mentality monsters of the match in the last couple matches. Let's swing it out to Rafa. Who is your mentality man of the match for mentality monster of the match for Nashville and for the Vegas match yesterday?
I think for Nashville, that's a little tough one there. I give it.
Was one
actually. You know what? I'm gonna give it to the whole team as a whole, because going over there, they played well. Just one little mistake, and like I said, I think we showed Nashville, hey, we're a quality team, and if we played our starting 11, we probably beat you. So I'm gonna give it as the whole team as the mentality monster for that, and then for Saturday's game, I'm going to give it again to Zico Bailey. He's just, like I said, lights out. I mean, he's if there's an award for newcomer of the year for USL, that's him right there. And I think he's got a really good chance of being the newcomer of the year for USL.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Harry, who are your mentality monsters of the match for both matches?
So I'm trying to think for Nashville. I liked what I saw from Kai, but he got ran over. Trying to pull it back up here. I know for Vegas, I'm going to go a little bit off match. I'm going to give it to the supporters groups from the tailgate. FTC had an awesome tailgate with the pinatas. 210 is also kind of moved over, so you're kind of seeing them where they're not isolated anymore, and I don't mean that in a bad way, Stuart. Just you're kind of off in a section by yourself. So I like that you're more involved, whether it's with the Crocketeers or with FTC. Crocketeers obviously brought it for the tailgate as always for that here. So the tailgate scene compared to the last couple of years is 10 times better than what it's been. So shout out to all the leaders of the supporters groups, and then you heard the supporters group all game this game here, which shout out to to the supporters group for the Nashville. I'm trying to go back to that one here. I'm going to give it to, and this could go through Fabian Garcia. At the match, I was calling him the cleaner, and I think Rafa looked it up what that meant in Spanish. But
El Lijador.
You would see him, side from side with the sliding tackles, just to clear it out. So for on pitch, I'd probably go with Fabian for the combination of both games. He cleans it up in the back, and then like I said here for all three of the supporters groups, for that here. To me, like I said here, outstanding job. And even for this three game home set here, I thought the group brought all three supporters group brought it well.
And for mine, I think those are some really good choices. For mine, in the Nashville match, I'm going to have to go with Farr. Farr made some unbelievable saves. He made a save with his left hand that should have been a goal that he punched, or I guess he pushed out for a corner kick. But Farr was pretty incredible in that match. And the one ball that did get by him was just a one-on-one that no one's going to save. And in the Vegas match, I honestly, without giving it to Prano's pretty obvious for the free kick goal, but I want to give it to Lamar Batista. Lamar Batista in the beginning of the match, especially after the first goal from Ingram, kind of had a quicksand game. Everything he did just kind of started spiraling on him. He got I'm pretty sure he got a yellow card for a late tackle. A lot of his passes went directly to Vegas and were just misplaced. Obviously, he was directly at fault for the goal. A lot of things didn't go his way, but he tightened it up. He turned it around, and he turned it around into a really strong performance and really shut down Vegas in their attacks. So I'm going to give it to Lamar. Lamar had a tough game in the beginning, but he turned it around, and he was really strong toward the end. So I want to give it to Lamar on that one. I believe that's all we have. Hour and 40 minutes into this thing. So Harry, do you have anything else?
My final thoughts here is I want to give just a shout out here. The supporters groups, the Crocketeers came out with a kit that you can pre-order through them. So if you go under Crocketeers on Twitter and I'm assuming any of their socials, you can get it through there. Also, FTC's put out a couple of kits for that here. So, there's the Viva kit and also the FTC Niso sports jersey for that here. And then, or Nesio. And then also 210s also kind of, with their Alliance sports jersey here. So if you can, if you got the money, to kind of help support them. I know they do a lot of good for us through here. So to me, that's kind of my final thought here is if you have the ability to do so, they look good. I know, the stuff from FTC and the Crocketeers, they'll come in. They got the big sizes all the way up to Harry size, down to the Royce's size for that here. So
all the way down to
if you
XL.
can support.
Yeah.
So, but that was mine.
And Rafa, your final thoughts?
My final thoughts, like I said, looking forward for Sunday's game. Hopefully we can wear out Las Vegas since they're playing Friday, get the 3 points, get it going again. Also, I know this upcoming week, I think for the kiddos, good luck to you guys on the SART testing. So good. Knock it dead there. And also we have some commitment days or something. And then I think this past week we had some signing days for some athletes. Congrats to them as well for your next journey up to playing the next level. And then on Tuesday, I'll be on 50-50 podcast. We'll be interviewing the 4A state champion for the girls from Salina. So it should be a fun one. So check that out. A lot of interesting questions on there that we're going to ask him, and great program, great support there for their team. So should be fun.
And my final thought, it's going to be something completely off of task, completely off of subject, but the great Mike Shannon passed away. Mike Shannon was St. Louis Cardinal catcher, third baseman for 9 years with the club, won 2 World Series in the 60s with the Cardinals, and then went on and decided to do 50 years of broadcasting for the Cardinals. And he was the voice. Him and Jack Buck would do the KMOX broadcast. I grew up in Missouri listening to them. And Mike Shannon kind of continued on. He was a broadcaster for the 06 World Series, the 2011 World Series. And last year was his last year, he decided, and he hung him up as a broadcaster. He was just at a game last week with Whitey Herzog. And unfortunately today he passed away. So at age 83. So man, one of those voices of your childhood that you'll never forget, and Cardinals Hall of Famer, and it's one of those living legends. So thoughts and prayers to his family and to his friends and everyone in Cardinal Nation. So thanks for joining us. Sorry to bring it down, but we'll catch you next week after the Vegas game, and we'll figure out when we can get that show going. So everyone have a good night, and thanks for joining. See ya.
The bright side, we're not RGV.